The city of Wichita is making some changes to its property code.
Yeah, it's something we've covered extensively on 12 News back in October. Brock Wilson joins us now with a look at these changes.
Mike, Rachel, you may remember that October meeting was one of the longest in Wichita history, where dozens of community members spoke out both for and against proposed housing ordinance changes. Those proposals were tabled until today, when the City Council approved several amendments.
Madam Clerk, please open the roll. Motion passes 7-0.
The Wichita City Council approving a number of housing code changes, including a revised Board of Code Standards and Appeals, increased fines for landlords with problem properties, and authorizing the Metropolitan Area Building and Construction Department Director to hand out penalties to landlords that violate the policies.
These are some solid first steps. I appreciate the work that the task force into discussions.
Those changes and others coming at the recommendation of a task force made up of both landlords and tenants.
We all recognize there's a problem and a need, and this task force was put together essentially to try to find efficient ways to address some of those issues.
Nella Bay Youth owns a local property management company and is the spokesperson for the task force. She says it's been quite the turnaround from the last time this was discussed.
To have that many different types of people positively support such an important topic, we feel extremely happy to be a part of that.
Of course, there were still community members unhappy with the plan.
I find it illogical that you want to hold me accountable for the actions of another.
You can't always hold the landowner responsible, because part of it's got to come back on the tenant.
But Nella says even though you're never going to satisfy everyone, she believes the majority of concerns have been addressed.
The fine structure and the power MABCD will have, it will allow the penalties to be more severe to where it catches those folks' attention. We'll have those resources then to abate what can be abated. We can use some of the money to rehouse people if needed.
I was able to list just a few housing ordinance changes the City Council made today. You can find a full list of those changes under this story on our website, as well as the 12 News app.